What's up and welcome back. Today I'm gonna be reviewing something that I haven't seen anyone review before, so I thought might as well do it for anyone out there that's interested. And that is the Nurature Pro versus the Denon Pro. Now, the reason I'm doing this review is because wherever I see other review of people about the Denon Pro on the Nurature Pro, they treat them as the same thing, but in fact they're not the same thing. I had tested them both for quite a long time. The Nurature was my favorite pair of earbud out there, and then came the Denon Perl Pro. So a little bit of a backstory. I actually decided to get the Denon Perl Pro and test them out versus the Nurature, and at first I didn't really like them as much as the Nurature Pros because the bass was not as I liked it. The Denon Perl Pro was more sharp. The bass was more dynamic, so more around the 90 hertz, and whilst the Nurature has this sub bass around the 60 hertz, which is really strong and immersive. But the more I listened to the Denon, the more I could appreciate them to be more accurate as much as it goes, with these earbuds, compared to the Nurature. And I still use the Nurature for gym, and where I just didn't care so much about the accuracy as much. I just wanted that sub bass. I wanted the bass, overkill, really not accurate music, just overall fun. And then I switched my phone, which is a totally other segment because I had realized how important the phone is for the sound quality and the tuning. And once I switched my phone to the Sony Xperia, I got a totally different impression of both of them. So I want to start with the first impression of the old phone. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is because it is really important that you bear in mind that whatever phone you have or whatever configuration you have is going to result in a totally different sound. The previous phone I had was a Poco X5 Pro, and I rooted it, so I had Viper for Android and James DSP. If you don't know about it, it's just a set of modules that basically are like equalizers, and they have a lot of settings and they make the sound significantly better. When I used my old phone, there was not so much difference between them in terms of quality, but I did notice again that the Denon were more dynamic while the Nurature were more punchy. When I listened to the Denon, when I really had the time, I found that maybe the music sounded a little bit different compared to the Nurature. Then I ended up actually most of the time using the Nurature Pro for fun and the Denon Perl Pro for more accurate listening. Now, when I switched to my Sony Xperia, the whole story changed because the Nurature became significantly worse compared to the Denon, without the Viper for Android and James DSP, without all the enhancements. So there's a big difference between those two in the way that they have been tuned. They might have the same hardware, but it doesn't matter as much. They look basically identical. You see the Denon has it's just written like that, and the Nura is engraved with a shiny gloss. The Nura has this texturized logo, whilst the Denon has a simply printed logo. Honestly, I like the design of the Nurature a little bit more than the Denon's, but I guess it's very subjective, but I feel like the Nurature feels just a little bit of an extra touch, while the Denon just feels like a printed logo. Now, the Denon Perl Pro, I feel like have been my benchmark for high quality earbuds for a very long time. That's until I got the Rex 5, which are still going on with testings, because I want to give the best opinion that I can. Now, if you ask me which one should you buy, I would say go with the Denon Perl Pro because they just sound better. They sound more accurate, they sound more sharp, the sound stage is bigger, and it's a very dynamic sort of sound with a very punchy bass. The sub bass is there, but it's not like the Nurature Pros. The Nurature Pros are just like a toy for me that I love to hear when I want music that has a lot of bass and it's very immersive. Furthermore, for movies and things like that, I use the Nurature Pros because when there's like a shot in a movie or a bass the Nurature Pro really makes it pronounced, and I love that. So I don't want to make it a review that is way too long and drags too long. The bottom line is I would go with the Denon Perl Pro over the Nurature Pro. With that being said, the Nurature Pro is sort of a legacy item. There is no other earbud I've tested in my life that has this level of sub bass and immersiveness, yet keeps good sound quality overall. I find the volume to be lower than the Denon Perl Pros, so I have to listen to them in high gain mode. But overall, they are both top tier earbuds. They really are. But I rest my case. The Denon Perl Pro is a better earbud than the Nurature Pro. Yet some of the songs, the Denon Perl Pro can be just a little bit harsh, and I like the Nurature Pro, which has like this rounded sound. I don't know how to explain it better than to say that it's round. It's very friendly or immersive and warm in its tones, and the Denon Perl Pro is a bit more crisp, you know. In terms of any other thing, ANC, fit, transparency, they're both exactly the same thing. They're both great. To me, you know, they fit, except for the case that I don't like too much. It's a bit too bulky in the pants, but the rest is exactly the same. So it's up to you what you choose to do. The Nurature Pro, also something to bear in mind, is because they're discontinued, they don't have support anymore. So if something happens to your earbud, which happened to me once, luckily I fixed it myself, there is no support. So that's also a reason to go to the Denon Perl Pro, which I never had a problem with. So I don't know how their support is, but I know that the Nura one is non-existent. So yeah, if something happens to your Nuratures, it's on you, basically. I hope that really sums it. Honestly, there's not a lot to say. If you know these earbuds, you will know what I'm talking about. But my recommendation is very clear. In fact, I'm trying to sell the Nurature at the moment. I have another pair of Nurature which I might keep for movies, but I'm also not sure about it now, because I mean, the Denon Perl Pro really hits the spot where I need it anyway. So thank you for watching. I hope this has been somewhat useful for you, and if you are interested in this sort of reviews, feel free to stay tuned, because I love sound and I test all the earbuds that I can get. I usually buy them and then I sell them because I don't have enough money to keep them really. Yeah, thanks for watching.